Welcome to the Comics Coffee Metal Podcast, episode 163.
Greetings and welcome to the Comics Coffee Metal Podcast. I'm your host, DON CARDENAS, and today I am finally joined again by a guest I've been wanting to have for a very long time back on the show, and that is artist, musician, all-around awesome person, CHUCK B.B. Chuck, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Don, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate. Look at all those guitars. It's so many guitars I've never seen. I have one right here and one over there, but that's I got a fake brick wall.
but you know, the fake brick wall, it matches the dungeon vibes you want for the music you do create, which is, you know, one of the things that I think was most surprising and enjoyable when we first, you know, got in contact with each other 4+ years ago. You had NOSK of the Void, the death metal dungeon Sith project based off, inspired by the game Hollow Knight, which the sequel has just been released. So we'll see if there's gonna be a follow-up from you from there. And then you also recently had your project ADJURE, which was also really good. It felt like, to me, like a definite like step up in terms of this like composition and you know, still kept that lower fi kind of vibes from that, you know, the death metal-y, you know, black metal-y dungeon stuff, but, you know, not inaudible like some of the stuff could be, but definitely felt like a more like even more of a complete project than Nos did. Not to mention your books, Black Metal, your work with Teen Titans, and the other project you've been working on lately that will be out soonish. We'll talk about that more later. The tabletop RPG. Am I classifying that right? Tabletop RPG.
It's like a creature compendium, sort of, for your
okay.
your 5e compatible D&D creature compendium.
All right, you know, hell lords and cell swords. It looks really cool because you always draw really cool creatures and stuff. I have no idea what 5e ready is. I'm totally ignorant of all that, but hopefully someone listening is gonna be like, "Oh, awesome! I can't wait."
I mean, we'll get into that I'm going to get into it right now just to break it down because I barely know it. But it's like 5e is like Dungeons and Dragons, so it's like you can use all the tools from D&D for these characters to put them into your campaign or whatever. So yeah.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense then. All right.
Yeah, and it's the 5e is the like public domain version of that, I guess, sort of.
Okay. So. Okay. Awesome. And then but you know how the show goes, Chuck. First things first, Comics Coffee Metal. What are you digging lately?
Well, what am I digging? It's a good question. It's kind of like I've been having a strange time of year where I'm very focused on my projects and not like struggling like to find anything that's like new that's really hooking me. Like, but I have to say, like, this old Mastodon with poor Brent passing away a couple of weeks back sent me down listening to some of their old stuff because I had really drifted far away from listening to Mastodon. But I also saw them when they like came up, like seeing them at the small venues, Troubadour and stuff like that when they were touring that first thing.
Oh, that's cool.
So I have fond memories and appreciation for them. So it was pretty sad when I heard that Brent passed away. And so I went back to this album, Cold Dark Place, which is like an EP that's very heavy on his work in the band. I think it's really excellent stuff. And I don't know, at the time I was not listening to them anymore when it came out. And I think it's maybe like 8 years old or something like that. But this is a pretty good little EP, very moody, very different, very Brent heavy, emotional kind of stuff. It's good. So music-wise, I did kind of get sucked into that. Kind of dig in the new stuff I've heard, at least from Sanguisugabog. I even know how to pronounce that name.
I think I think that's how you do it.
yeah, and I got to do a comic for their new record that was coming out in Decibel magazine. So I got to hear some of the new stuff. Pretty cool. Maybe better than their old stuff. And then this other thing it keeps popping up on my Spotify, and this is the band Stryborg or Stryborg. I don't know how to pronounce them. They're an Australian like when they first came out, they were like underground black metal, like total, like
Okay.
raw, super like fun, kind of like nasty, like recording drums on a Casio and like super crusty instruments and stuff like that. But their early stuff is pretty good black metal. Like I think it's Northwest Passage is the song. It's kind of like a classic black metal kind of like drone drudger.
Okay.
That can like if you feel uncomfortable listening to Burzum, the Streborg stuff kind of does that same thing a little bit without being racist or murderers. Sorry, without being a murderer and a Nazi. And what was I going to say? But since then, they've sort of like I think it's just a one person project. This guy sort of just kind of has been going wild with like he's obviously discovered all kinds of new ways of producing music and stuff like that. So he's just been kind of experimenting wildly, electronic, ambient, but it still has this like dark edge, kind of teetering into gothy kind of stuff, but still lo-fi, still has like something from that black metalness that's like still there, but just kind of all over the place, weird, very interesting stuff. Really enjoy that. This is all music wise. The last, and then I keep listening to Steely Dan. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? I don't know. I'll have a broad taste in music.
I mean, that's not the hardest shift I've experienced with stuff. So,
No.
and even then, like you could even argue that some of that stuff can be pretty dark.
Oh yeah, sardonic. At least like that stuff is lyrically is just such a bummer half the time. But and like musically, I guess if you like metal for the technicality, like Steely Dan is pretty skilled little production output there. But like that old album, The Royal Scam, I kind of have been digging that one lately. And it seems like every few years I just find one Steely Dan album that becomes a go-to when I'm feeling like I don't want to like bang my head, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe during the summer.
I've mentioned on the show before, like I kind of feel like my music listening tastes change with the season. Like there's always like some form of metal involved in there, but usually there's like the you know being in the Midwest, we get all the seasons, multiple times a year, even. So it kind of like ebbs and flows with that. So do you experience anything like that where it's like, it's kind of you're on the West Coast, so it's cooler out. Does that change the vibe of what you're listening to, or?
Yeah. Now, because I'm on the West Coast, we don't even really have the seasons, 4 seasons, right? We kind of have like
Yeah.
2 seasons, like hot or sort of cool and cold, right? Rainy sometimes, or who knows, fire. We forgot the season fire, which used to be just a small season. Now it's the whole year. But no, I definitely feel like moods and vibes shift, and certain stuff is appropriate for like certain times, and sometimes the stuff that clicks with you that you discover is tied to that time that you found it, and maybe it wouldn't happen if it was a sunny, beautiful day. Maybe it needed to be that gray, gloomy day to attract you to that sound. Totally.
Yeah, I as you mentioned that, and as you've mentioned, getting into Mastodon, or deeper into Mastodon, or just retreating into some of the stuff. That does remind me, like I was never a huge Mastodon fan. Like I've never disliked them at all, but I never really got into them. It wasn't until Once More Around the Sun, that album, that I finally had like an album of theirs where I'm like, oh, this whole thing's great. I like this whole thing.
Yeah.
I haven't really had that experience since with other stuff. But I have been meaning to go back and check them out more, especially considering, what happened. And I just gotten over, my Ozzy kick from
Yeah.
all of
Yeah. Of
that.
course.
And then, then here comes another, uh, you know, celebrated metal musician passing away. Uh, and yeah, so you mentioned like the EP was kind of Brent heavy. Do you know if like Once More Around the Sun, is that like a Brent heavy record, or is that like
Okay.
more of a mix of all of them?
I mean, and I have to be honest, by the time that album came, I was like not in the Mastodon camp any longer. I
Okay.
was they had sort of transcended past what I was interested in. At least that's where at the time that it was. But I have heard a couple of songs in there, and like I think that he was probably the strongest vocalist, the most interesting musician there. Let's say interesting is the right word. So I do feel like that first track off that album that you like, it's got that great Skinner album cover too, right? I think that's like Brent doing those like kind of more complex vocals, like like that kind of thing. Like that's his vocals, and I don't know. I mean, I think, and I recall from what I recall, anyways, like Mastodon was comprised of two different bands that sort of smashed in together.
Mm-hmm.
So like two of the guys look the same and sort of play the same sort of stuff, and two of the other guys were in a different band. They kind of looked the same and played the same stuff. So there were like these two major influences there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, lyrically, vocally, Brent's just more complex, was less concerned with the monsters, and seemed to have more depth than a lot of the other music they produced. That said, I recall the drummer writing a very tragic album about his little baby sister dying or something like that. So I think there's plenty of depth to be found in there. It's just interesting because I had so long not really been paying attention to Mastodon, and they've become huge, and I'm happy for them. They're obviously super skilled. All of them were super skilled. But then him dying young, and he had just left the band too on like bad terms.
Yeah, they weren't on great terms, which
So it's so sad, and it's sad for a lot of reasons.
The whole thing being an accident on top of that, just it's just one of those things that's kind of you wish they would at least have had some sort of like, oh no, we're not, we're good now, I'm not back in the band, but we're good now, because they've had what 20+ year career and all that, and I know Once More on the Sun was more, I guess, more of like a hard rocky type of record than anything else they really did, and that really tied. And you mentioned tying it into a particular time or whatever. And I remember I got into that album when I was doing a lot of running, and I hear that album, I see that album cover, I just feel like super hot. The sun's beating on me, and I'm running outside, and it has that vibe to me. So it's like I'm wondering if I dive into any more Mastodon stuff, like will that carry over with that? And considering I like so many of the songs there, I was just kind of wondering, like, if you had any insight as to if they, if more stuff like that was out there. But I'll also have to dig in. I'll also have to jump in and start from the beginning, much like I did with Gojira, because when Magma came out in 2016, like I was like, "Ooh, I am in," and then I went back and just loved all the other stuff and all that, and that seems to be kind of my MO, because I got into Metallica with like Load and Reload, and then I went back and I loved all the thrash stuff and all that other stuff and all that. So it's like, people complain about bands having like more accessible albums. I'm like, well, they get me. And then I go back and I like all the other stuff too.
Yeah.
I also just got back into Gatecreeper.
Yeah.
In terms of, if we're talking about death metal,
Arizona's Gatecreeper.
Yeah, I was, I've been doing a lot of cleaning and organizing my garage, and that's pretty good music to
Totally
to clean. I guess to organize your garage too. Hopefully, that can be seen as a compliment.
Yeah. See, if they clean their garages down there, they got to watch out for scorpions, man.
Yeah,
deadly scorpions in the garage. That's what I hear, anyways.
Well, how about coffee and comics? What have you been enjoying on those fronts?
Let's see. On coffee, I just was taking my last. I got this one little sip left here, and I wanted to say that this mug is so like. I got it from like a diner that was going out of business. They were selling all their mugs. I wish I bought even more of them because they're just the perfect little coffee mug. And I believe this is a Seattle's best coffee from the grocery store. So I will get whatever's like. But yeah, how about this too? Coffee prices through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So I always make my choice. I make like my coffee purchases based on the price. Try not to go to Folgers. Try to go up a level. To the Lavazza or your whatever. But when it starts being like $15, I'm like, I don't know. I need to spend like $7 to $10 max on my coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the store, grocery store aisle, kind of picking that stuff, and I'll occasionally go to Starbucks and get a cold brew. Not the regular coffee, not good, but the cold brew is good.
Yeah.
I think I talked about this last time, even. But I'm
Possibly,
here.
possibly. And you're far from the first person to mention that, Starbucks, regular coffee, no thanks. Other coffee stuff, cold brews and lattes and stuff, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what they do to the regular coffee, but I think it's something like they take it out back and they like cut it open and stab it first, and they bring it in and let it
They
bleed
just
out.
drag it through the alley,
Yeah,
mix in some charcoal briquettes in there or something. I don't know. It's just
I think it's like that scene where Batman's parents are killed, but it's the coffee. There's
coffee
pearls
beans
falling off.
spilling on the floor, not
Yeah,
pearls.
yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Uh,
There's an
well,
image.
how about comics? I know when we're in the middle of making stuff, it's hard to read and keep up on stuff and anything like that. But have you made any time to list?
Man, I really wish that I made more time. I got this somewhere here. I got this, you see, for Christmas. This
Oh,
Berserker
nice.
collection, which is only the first thing because everybody keeps saying a lot of the stuff that I've been doing is like similar to these sort of creatures that are in Berserker illustrations. And I looked at the art, I was like, damn, this is fantastic. I can't wait to read it. And it has not moved from my shelf. So that's a thing I need to do very badly. So I've been a bad boy. I look at comics a lot. I check out what's going on. I work in them, so I'm overseeing the project I just finished was kind of like art directing, project managing, editing a little anthology together. And so I was over like multiple stories and scripts and artists, colorists and letters. So I'm all over these comics. So I just tended to, and when I first started the project, I'm like, I'm going to go to the comic store and sort of get some inspiration and what have you. And no, the world sort of moves so quickly that I just need to start. I need to, like they say in Reservoir Dogs, shit my pants and jump in and swim, basically. Just figure it out as you go. And, I've been around the comic world enough to know how to do these things, but I really wish I spent more time with comics because I love the art form and understand it.
Yeah.
So I would take a recommendation, quite honestly, and it could be anything. It doesn't have to be dark and metal. I'm a spooky guy. I love cute little kittens, I like good,
Well, yeah,
I like quality.
yeah. I mean, there's the vast majority of my comic reading has been all friends' books or books.
Yeah,
I've got the PDF from either for someone who's coming on the show or as a couple bucks on Kickstarter, so you can help support people that way and stuff like that. But there's one I read some of them. I didn't finish it, but I got the trade in, and that is right here from my buddy John Westhoff and Dan Doherty.
oh
They have
yeah,
a book
yeah,
called
yeah.
Drumsticks of Doom.
Oh yes, I heard of it. I'm aware of it.
Uh, yes, it's a very it's I read the first couple issues. Very fun, very great. I love both those guys. They're both awesome people and awesome creators, and hoping to dive into that pretty soon. I'm trying to catch up on a few things that I have to read for some upcoming shows and all that. But yeah, I've definitely am terrible at sitting down and reading myself. But yeah, I'm actively trying to change that. I know it's something I've probably said way too many times to myself, but definitely. But yeah, I can vouch for Drumsticks of Doom. I believe they have. I think they're starting a Kickstarter for another volume or whatever. I'm sure it's gonna be it's available or whatever. But I'll send you links to it where I know they have it up. But it's definitely something that's you know fun, but it's also just really well made, really good stuff. And it's not a book you would get from most other publishers and stuff like that. And um, there's another great book from Mad Cave called The Slasher's Apprentice.
Nice.
That's going to be wrapping up soon, I believe. I got the first couple issues. I had the creators on the show, and that was really good. basically it's like about a true crime fan who basically wants to become the apprentice for their local slasher.
What a bad
uh,
person.
yeah, and it's just it's an interesting book. The design of the main slasher guy is pretty cool and unique, and there's like, you know, speaking with the creators, there's like lots of like nice little like details to like the costume and all that, and it's not just you know, things thrown together for like that. So it's I'll send that, I'll send links to that your way too as well, because I think that's something you probably dig as well.
Yeah, man.
Even though I just mentioned like two like darker metal focused
That's
books, you know, you know, we all like the other stuff too, but you know, that's just what I've gotten
sure.
really been able to check into lately for myself.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. Drumsticks of Doom, I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
Pretty cool
Yeah.
thing. I'm gonna definitely check out some more of that. And who knows? And then the slasher one, that sounds cool. That sounds fun. Definitely send me the link.
Yeah.
Like,
Did I ever send you? Did I ever send you Evie and the Helsing stuff?
no.
Okay, well I'll make sure I send you some PDFs for those because
Oh yeah.
I you know I think you'll dig it. You know,
Oh yeah.
at the very least you'll appreciate the drawings of guitars.
I no. That's a whole thing unto itself, my friend.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
cool.
like I said, like, you know, I had to like make guitar brushes for myself just to make sure I kept things as accurate as possible. So, you know, I drew a whole bunch of different styles and body models and all that, and
That's great.
use that as kind of like the pencils before I ink.
Hmm.
But like, just because if I draw it wrong, it's going to bug the crap out of me.
Yeah.
But like, if I see anyone else draw a guitar, quote unquote, wrong or not right or whatever, I don't care. But for me, it's just like I have to have my own personal higher standard in the back of my brain about it. That it has to be as accurate as possible, even down
Well,
to like frets and fret markers. And
I mean, you have to. I'm looking at that background, staring at all those guitars, and I'm like,
I
you
have
better.
no excuse. I have
Right.
no
You have
excuse to not
reference
have.
beyond.
Yeah, too
No,
much
that's cool.
reference, and it's not even counting the ones in front of me.
Yeah, I think when I would try to do guitars, it's like, depending on obviously the size of the panel
Mhm.
and all this, but I
Yeah,
would try to be a little accurate, but not too accurate. Like, keep the bar low on accuracy and then focus on, does that look cool first, you know?
hmm
And
hmm
then try to like back up into like, hopefully there's almost enough frets on this thing, you know, and
yeah,
put the two, what do they call
yeah,
the thing where you put your finger, the two dots, you know, the dots on there. Okay, those got to
yeah.
go
The fret
here and
markers.
every other spot, and you know, all that stuff. The pickups, find it all, put it all in there. But that's what you've got. Sounds smart. That sounds cool.
Yeah, and, you know, and even then, it's, you know, not that I don't give myself a little bit of leeway here and there on things, but yeah, it's just for some reason just one of those little quirks. I think we all have them. We all have that thing that we want to make sure is like, this has got to be right. You know, for me, this it's just that. But since we are on the topics of guitars, last time, you know, I think I'm pretty sure I asked you about what you got back there, but I see two very nice looking guitars, and those are, you know, your primary ones. What exactly are they? I see one's an Epiphone.
Oh yes, this is the Epiphone. And I'm just making sure. This is a. I'm going to actually take a sidestep here. Is my audio recording?
Yeah, you're coming up.
Okay, on my little screen, it doesn't show like the.
Oh, I see your waveforms. You're right here.
Okay, weird. For me, it doesn't show me my waveforms. So, okay, was
Okay.
worried about that. Um, okay, and action, cut. All right. um, all right. So the Epiphone, man. When I was recording more stuff, I was more knowledgeable about
Mhm.
guitars. This is dusty. Hopefully, the quality of the video, you can't see that, so that's cool. But this is in the style of, what do you call this style of guitar? God damn
Les
it,
Paul.
man. Les Paul style, yes. My brain is scrambled, but this is sort of the fake Les Paul style
Mhm.
one. This is actually the one I recorded like a little bit of NOSK of the Void, and then it broke, so you can actually see here where I
Oh,
was having coffee. I don't know if you can see where I was having coffee in the morning, and I didn't know about strap locks when I was
oh,
recording, and it
okay.
was early in the morning, and I was working out some NOSK of the Void before I went to work, and it popped right off and flew straight down onto the ground and snapped the headstock right off, not cleanly.
Oof.
And I actually found this guy in LA who reconstructed it. Not that this was like, this guitar is not a particularly super valuable guitar or anything. I liked it and I wanted to keep it. But you can only see like little fragments. But really, this thing was completely fucked, and he somehow put it together. You can see a little discoloration here. That's where that happens. So this is a nice guy. We got ourselves an amazing
Spider-Man strap.
Yeah.
Nice. You know, Epiphone, well, Gibson style guitars, Epiphone SGs, they are notorious for breaking. And actually, I have I don't know how well you can see the gold SG
Yes.
here. That's from a brand called Firefly, and my wife had ordered that for my birthday, and I was so excited. You know, she's like, you know, surprised me with it, and I go to take it out of the box, and I'm just pulling up the neck.
Oh no.
And I was like so bummed, but you know, they, you know, to their credit, they sent a replacement, not the same color, because they only do like limited runs, because they're like $200, you know, budget guitars. And they sent me, you know, this one as a replacement.
Nice.
Again, very nice.
Very pretty.
I ended up putting in some different pickups in there. These are like, they're humbucker pickups, but they're supposed to sound more like P90s, which are a single coil pickup, which can be very noisy. But since they're in the humbucker formation, they're much quieter. But that leads to more of a fuzzy. It leans to like fuzz rock kind of, you know, doomy kind of stuff. And
I like it.
So this is like my go-to like doom guitar for, you know, drop B and lots of fuzz and all that. But then I was looking at the gold guitar, and I'm like, this is a pretty clean break. So I ended up just wood gluing the hell out of it, and it's been perfectly fine ever since.
Wow. Nice.
So, you know, free guitar.
Hey, free guitar. We could talk about my free guitar, which was this one, which is a very basic guitar. What is this? The Squire, Fender Squire, you know? The free, like the guitar that comes with for $100, you know, with a or used to, probably more like $200 now, with a like an amp as a starter. The very day I broke that other guitar, that morning I went to work, and there was a contest to win a guitar. I didn't win the contest, but this guy did. And he was an older fellow, and he's like, I don't have a need for a guitar. So he gave it to me. So I broke a guitar that day, and then got this guy for free, and recorded the rest of NOSK with it. And, you know, I'm still pretty novice. Like, I don't know a lot of stuff about the guitars, but I obviously noticed, like, it was the first time I noticed, like, oh, there's a completely different sound that's coming out of this thing. And I actually really like it's maybe the perfect guitar to finish off that album, because it had that sort of like tinny high, sort of like the smallness of the frame or whatever must have added to like the scratchiness of the sound, and the smaller sound that like amplified became just more appropriate for black metal, I think. And in a sense, it was also like this. I was trying to treat that album as like, I hadn't played guitar since I was like 15 years old. All I knew was power chords then, and I don't know much more than that now. But
same.
So it was almost like I'm picking up right where my teenage self was. I think I used the old grunge guitar pedal that I had from. That's the one I used to record that album, and it sounds good. I like it.
I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that old DoD grunge pedal is like pretty sought after these days, just because it's one of those things where it's like people are like, at the time were like, this sounds terrible, but now it's like, well, no, now terrible is kind of cool, and you can use that.
Yes,
so that's a great effect. And I'm pretty sure there's one of my buddies, Dave Jordan. He started a pedal company called Non-Human Audio, and he's a big pedal guy. I got to ask him about that, what he thinks about the grunge pedal, because I know he's a big. There's one pedal, the Proco Rat pedal, which was a big. I think that's what the grunge was supposed to be like mimicking, sort of. But it's one of those like dirty, just like really dirty distortion type of things, and all that. But I'm glad you were able to luck into a free guitar to finish your album on that. Because and also, these days, like, in the 80s, 90s, when we were kids, it's like those like $200 guitars were like, a 2x4 that'll give you splinters and action to, 5 feet off the off the fretboard and all that.
Yeah, yeah,
And now these days, like the majority of the stuff I have is like $200 because the advancements in manufacturing, CNC work, and all that overseas and all that have just made these kinds of guitars so good. And they're
yeah.
really good as like mod platforms to like swap things out. And I'm someone who likes to do that kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
I, most of the stuff I have here, I've swapped the pickups out on or whatever. And, you know, the collection just kind of exploded because of the affordability of these guitars.
Yeah,
It became a pretty quick go-to gift for me for a Christmas or my birthday or something like
yeah.
that. And but now I definitely have too many because I have a kit that my wife bought me for like a regular Stratocaster that it's just sitting in the box. I haven't had time to like assemble it and paint it and all that stuff yet. Um, but it's I kind of feel like I have a kind of like a guitar for like every occasion and tuning. And that's the thing. It's like I like too many kinds of tunings and music and stuff like that. And like I have the fuzz guitar and I have the thrashy guitar and I have the baritone low tuning guitars and I have the and I started as a bass player, so I have a few basses too, and
Hmm.
and all that. So while the the depth of my collection oversells my ability for sure. But it's definitely one of those things where I've been feeling like I really need to start making more stuff with them because it kind of feels kind of foolish to not have it. And obviously, uh, things happen, other things take priority and all that. But I've definitely been like banking lots of riffs and stuff like
It's
that
cool.
to eventually do something. And I was working on a project with, do you know Kevin Mellon?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, Kevin and I, we did a song last year, and we're kind of like we're talking about doing like multiple songs under this one project banner. But he got super busy, and I got super busy, and it kind of like fell into the demo wasteland for both of us. But hopefully, we'll get back on that.
Yeah, totally. You
But
should.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but when it's like the one man show situation, it can get pretty overwhelming and all that. And
Sure.
with ADJURE and NOSK, you were kind of the one man
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
show on that. Was that something that you ever felt like overwhelmed with, or is it something that was like more cathartic than anything else?
All of the above. It's absolutely overwhelming. But on the other hand, I don't have, you know, for the most part, I don't have to depend on anyone. So like NOSK, I did it
Mhm.
all myself. It was like I'm learning how to do this while I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Drums, everything, right? Uh, Not bass though. That was all set. Um, but so that was so there's the cathartic aspect of making the music and finishing the thing, which is like finishing a drawing or something like that. You just like have to get this thing out,
Yeah.
and having to get the project out. But working by myself is hard. Recording drums by yourself is about the dumbest thing you could possibly do. It's I find very complicated, uh, especially as I'm not a particularly good drummer. Um, but like I guess I don't have to depend on anyone. So when I did ADJURE, I like programmed the drums,
Hmm.
recorded the album, and then I had this other fellow record it because I just was like
Okay.
I can't play this, and I didn't even have drums set up. And recording drums is very hard, and
Yeah.
would approach it differently if I did like what I did with NOSK again. But I had a guy who basically played the live versions of what I had programmed, and that was cool. It was okay. I think the drums could have been a little better. Like obviously the guy is very good, but
Hmm.
managing an artist and helping them sort of like don't copy exactly what I did. Do your thing with this. Make it
Hmm.
good to you is like what I really wanted to like
Yeah.
out of it. But other than that, yeah, everything is me. I mean, I didn't mix and master it that would be cool too. Like if I could do everything myself and never work with anybody and be a little like, don't get me wrong, I love collaboration and I've worked in a lot of collaborative environments, but doing it all by yourself makes you very accountable. You know,
Yeah.
you get it done, and it's stressful. And I'm like, especially when you're like 3/4 of the way through and you're like, I just want to finish this album. These ideas that I had like a year ago, like I need to get done with this, you know? So like there's stress and there's anxiety, and it would be nice if there was somebody that you could call up and say, hey, just do this. You do your part and it'll come back and whatever. But I think in my experience so far, I've been mostly working with just myself. And part of that's also because I'm working around everything else I'm doing, which is like too much stuff. Yeah. So I don't have to like schedule time for myself, which is you know, good and bad. Sometimes I wish I could escape myself, of course, but I can't.
Yeah, so. I think we've all been there with that, especially with scheduling things and all that. But yeah, and I too, I'm a big fan of collaboration. I love it. And especially when it comes to something like even just forming the songs, because even though, you know, Kevin and I really just finished one song, like the back and forth on that was really fun because he knows more than I do about like mixing and mastering and that kind of stuff. And he also, you know, plays guitar and all this other stuff. And so he's able to like, oh, how about we do a part like this? Or, you know, even though I'll like demo the bass on it, he'll go play the actual bass on it and do his own thing with it. And same thing with like the drums. I don't think Kevin actually plays drums, but we both are familiar with programming them and all that. And what I like to do is like, I have a ton of different MIDI packs and files of just like different grooves and stuff. And then I usually find one that fits and then I just kind of like tweak it to make sure, and then kind of move things here and there. But you kind of miss that whole back and forth of having someone play it, because it's difference between like writing it and a difference between playing it. And I think that's where, when I look back at stuff I've done and actually, you know, considered finished or completed, I listen back, especially the drums, and like, just doesn't sound like a drummer's playing it. It just sounds like it's just beat, fill, you know, whatever. It doesn't, you know, there's no like, there's no sauce on it, as they would say, you know. You know, that's, you know, that's part of the learning curve of it all, I think. But you know, are there plans for another ADJURE album or more NOSK now that Hollow Knight's returned with a sequel?
Man, so yeah, that game, the NOSK thing. I don't know if I'll do another. If I do another NOSK album, I don't know if I'll do anything to do with Hollow Knight, or if I will do another NOSK album. My thinking initially was like, because that was so Hollow Knight related, I want to do ADJURE because that's not Hollow Knight, just my own thing. But but the dumb thing is more people know about the NOSK of the Void album than ADJURE, because my first release got more attention than my second. So it's like, I should have just released ADJURE as a NOSK record and be like, okay, NOSK is just the name of the band and it has nothing to do with Hollow Knight now. So I don't know. I don't have any plans right now. I always think about it. I think about things that I want to write about or say. And usually the music comes from me being in a position of wanting to like write lyrics. And I don't really know right now what to write about, you know? And I also have to say, like, I don't love the experience of releasing music. I don't love releasing anything in this space, you know, but at least in the comics world or art world, I have some ability to like get some traction. But I really am pretty bummed out with like the state of everything right now. Like putting anything out there feels like art is highly devalued. Any form of art. Social media sucks. Trying to get attention on something. Like I realize now, like music has to be the hardest one of all to get attention in.
Because I feel like there's just so much more out there. Like it's great that we can listen to whatever we want to, in whatever kind of genre or whatever, whenever we want to. but it's also like the worst thing, because you just end up listening to the same things over and over again because you can't make a decision. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
when you're, now that everything's streaming, there's no scrolling through the cable channels or the TV guide channels and like, oh, well, this is what's on. Let's go watch this.
Yeah.
Like it's more
Or
like, yeah.
yeah, or no going to the record store, where culture
Hmm.
occurred, where people recommended things to you, this guy that you knew at the record shop, or other people, or they would promote an album, or like, yeah, the staff would pick an album, like that's
Yeah.
all gone. Now it's algorithm, and that's pretty spotty.
Yeah.
So to like find new music is hard to get stuff out there. And yeah, you just keep listening to that same playlist you create with all your, I don't know about you, but I have like one Spotify playlist, which is just filled with everything. And I just keep going back to that and trying to like find something new and struggling and every now and then. And so, yeah, I think that, and putting music out also, it's a lot to ask somebody to do. Just for one, our time is all, we have very little free time at a certain age. And you're asking somebody to spend, 5 minutes on a thing. It's not like a drawing where you can show someone that they can spend 2 seconds and say, that looks great. But for a song, it's like you need to sit there and listen to this song for 3 minutes or whatever, right? And that's a lot of attention.
It feels like a huge ask, but then it's also like, how many of us and how many people do we know like get stuck watching a dumb 3-minute video scrolling on social media or something like
I know.
that? Or
But that's all evil,
so,
right? That's all the algorithm and these companies preying on like humans' worst like instincts. Like the reason people sit and watch a stupid video on it, like Instagram's all around like the first 3 seconds, trying to make it hook you in the first 3 seconds. So it has to be emotional and it has to be like engaging and it has to make you feel something. That's why like when someone's talking shit about a movie or whatever, like that gets a lot of traction. It's like all the negative things get a lot of traction, or like the very high-minded things get a lot of traction, and it all just plays off your most basic like reptilian sort of desires or whatever.
which is probably why it's so exhausting.
It sucks. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
people hate it. People go on Instagram not because they're happy. They go on to scroll through something and hopefully see something that can distract them from their miserable lives.
What a fun turn this conversation has.
I don't know, man. I look at this world out there and I'm like, things are not trending very well. But anyways.
But no, it as much as it's harrowing to say the least about releasing anything these days out, even for someone like myself, like a much smaller independent comic creator, it feels Sisyphean, with everything, especially since, when we first released our first issue, we had a huge impact on the funding thanks to like social media. But by the time the second issue and third issue came around, we saw that was like a drastic drop. And the people that were coming back were people who were already there for their first issue. So we got lucky to like hook in a lot of people, and then they came in with the next issues and all that. And just getting any kind of traction on social media these days is really, really even tougher now than ever before, especially since probably 90% of comics community is off of Twitter now.
Right.
I'm not going to call it the other name because it's just dumb. But who
even knows who everybody is, right?
Yeah. And Instagram, you get nothing from anything, unless you are rage baiting or really trying to luck in on some sort of pre-existing fan base or topic. But it's also the thing where it's like, well, we kind of have to do this anyway.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to be happy if we don't do it.
Sure.
It's just, getting it out is what, it is a thing we have to do. It's just, kind of like eating your vegetables
Yeah,
about
you
it,
gotta
because the
pay.
making is the fun part, and then the releasing is like, okay, well, I made this thing, I'm hoping people like it. Here you go.
Yeah,
Now I
yeah,
have to become a content creator and try to get you to read the thing I
yeah,
put all this work and heart and soul into, and I got to be kitschy about it, and hopefully you'll want to read it, and maybe you'll like it.
yeah. And
But
then the
it's
algorithm gets to decide whether or not any of these people get to see it or not. Literally
yeah,
keeping them from seeing
yeah,
something, unless there is one way to get through. You pay.
yeah. And even
Which,
then, how effective is that? Who knows? Like
I
I don't.
mean, pretty pretty effective. All of a
It's
sudden, because these companies had no way to make money for a very long time,
mm-hmm,
so they've had to forcibly monetize everything because they were all
yeah,
losing money. So like you have to pay it. You'll see if you pay for like you say you have an ad for the book and you spend money on it, you're gonna see all of a sudden all the people that would have seen your thing normally get to see it,
yeah,
and it's very smart. At like the algorithm is very smart. It knows what it's doing. It
mm-hmm,
knows that there's a bunch of people out there that are metalheads and would love this comic, or punk rock or whatever, and read
yeah,
comics, and it knows who those people are. It just will not share them with you until you pay them to share it, or you figure out, or you put boobies up, or you figure out how to trick the algorithm into showing that to something by rage baiting or
yeah,
whatever, or whatever horse, it's just, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It like one of the like announcement videos for whatever for the last EV Kickstarter we did. I put that up or whatever, and it said, "Oh, look, this reached X many people." Um, or X people saw this, and I'm like, if I have X amount of followers, that's the amount of people who should have seen it to begin with.
Yes,
Just
not true.
scrolling through, and it's just like, why is that like not a thing? Obviously, it's money, but it's just like the. I want to say I guess it's working because they keep doing it, but I got a feeling like they're just doing it because they have no idea what else to do.
Yeah, everything
You
is
know,
beta testing. Everything beta test AI in the public. Everything is just seeing what happens, and adjusting the plan according.
yeah,
But the one thing's for sure, they needed to figure out a way to generate more money, and this is the way.
yeah, yeah. It sucks, but you know what? There's so many awesome things in the world. Plenty of awesome people making awesome things, and you are one of those such people. And one of those things is Hell Lords and Cell Swords. That is the the 5E ready, which I now know what that means. Thank you for explaining that in the beginning. Uh, gaming com- companion edition, whatever is the appropriate term to call it, um, for Dungeons and Dragons fans and things like that. And it looks really awesome. It's up on your website. There'll be a link in the show notes below. I know it's done. You're figuring out the release plan for it and all that. Um, and once that's all set, I'll make sure to go ahead and like re-promote or help spread the word, because it looks really awesome, and I might have to find some people to play this with, figure it out, and finally dip my toes enough into this game, this tabletop gaming, RPG gaming world a bit there. But can you tell us a little bit about Hell Lords and Cell Swords? What was the impetus for it? Are you an RPG fan, or is this like, I had an idea for this. Does it work in this format? What was the whole creation process for that?
Yeah, kind of all those things. Hell Lords and Hell Lords and Cell Swords. That's my words that I wanted to say. That's this, like, yeah, it's basically a creature monster compendium of a bunch of these high detailed illustrations of monsters and sorcerers and wizards and what have you, warriors. I had time and I wanted to draw monsters. I wanted to practice doing some like highly detailed, like larger images, and kind of really go all out with them. and I wanted to draw a bunch of interesting creatures that sort of had some sort of gimmick and gag to them, and like almost like you could see the story of them within the illustration. So there's like background elements and all these little fine little details that sort of help you see what this thing is. It's almost like the ideas that I apply in comics, like to storytelling. It's like storytelling within a single illustration. So, but it's not a comic. These are single illustrations. So this is basically an art book. But I wanted to add like an extra dimension to the art book because they are like these monsters. So I was like, what if? How could I like do something different with it? There are these illustrations. Wouldn't it be cool if you could like meet them or interact or encounter them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the RPG role playing game sort of D&D thing sort of popped into my head, and I was like, well, what would it take to make this a playable thing for your D&D campaign? And looked into that, worked with these guys who have been working on another game with, which is like an animal boxing card game, the Northwest Game Labs, to sort of help um, put together like all the stuff we needed, and it sort of started becoming to this really robust stat blocks for each character, lore, a flavor text, and like mini adventures. And we might like buff it out a little bit and add like sort of this sort of roguelike campaign element module to it, so that people could play these creatures within the setting that we're creating. So it's like world building, all this stuff, but it's monsters. It's like crazy things you can see on the website, CHUCK BB.com, where I have like a Hell Lords link on there. And right now there's not a lot there. There's like 2 of them. I hate dealing with web page stuff. I need to get my act together with all this. But you can put in your email there, and for free, I'll send you like a little playtester kit, which has 4 of the Hell Lords, one of which isn't shown anywhere online yet, at least as of right now, and also a way to keep you up to date on this project. Yeah, like you said, I am looking to figure out how to put this out. All the work is basically done. I'm looking at Kickstarter. When you and I had initially first talked, I thought maybe I would be already ready at the Kickstarter land, but a big project came through, swept up all my plans, and I'm having to push it back a little. So I'm hoping to get this Kickstarter like going very soon, as soon as possible, but it may be like a month or 2 from this time. I'm not sure when this will air, but that's kind of where it's at right now. So the project's ready to rock, ready to go. I think people really dig the illustrations. You can see some stuff on social media and on my website. But there's more to come very soon.
Awesome. Yeah, as always, like the character designs look just absolutely insane. I'm looking at the Genghis Kong one, and I just noticed I'm forgetting the name of the creature, but what you have is like the loincloth.
Oh, the trilobite.
Yeah, yeah. I just noticed that right now because I was already like I was distracted by the awesome Triceratops shoulder blade shoulder pads
Thank you.
and all that, and you know the other character Gelfar the blade bound with just all these insane looking swords, and I recognize a couple.
Yeah, good, good. Some of them
Couple
are made
familiar
up.
swords.
Yeah, some of them are obvious real swords.
Homages.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely I think a really cool idea to say, like, I have all these crazy characters. I have this awesome looking art book. What can I do to make it different? Because that way someone can enjoy it just as really cool art book,
Yeah.
or if they're inclined, or maybe like me, like kind of curious about this kind of stuff, like, well, this might be a nice end to like start getting into this type of thing. And what I do like about RPGs is that how you can kind of build on them, add modules, add things like that, and kind of expand things out. It's not like you buy the game, you play the game, you're done. Like
Yeah.
obviously there's like when you have DMs and creating scenarios and all that, that expands it. But if I recall correctly, there are set scenarios for people to play and kind of get started with and all that. But it's kind of cool that this is something, especially it seems like these days that more people are just able to create on their own and release independently, and it ties in with people know with how to play it, ties in with ways people are already comfortable. You're not learning a whole new system of things. Um, and I think that's kind of like, to liken it to video games, that's kind of one of the things that like kind of like is a drawback for me for like really getting into a lot of video games, is like I have to
Mhm.
learn this whole new system of how to
Yes.
operate this character,
Yeah.
and it just becomes so like daunting. And then once you kind of learn it, if you step away from it for a while, you're like, wait, I got to relearn this. Like I have not finished the first Last of Us because I don't remember how to play the game.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I took a few months off, it became a few more months, and then I'm like, what controls do I do? And on me, I was last at a very stressful part where like you
Yes.
need to think quick and do things quickly. And I'm like, I don't know how to do this right now. So I've been, I tend to gravitate more towards the I'm on a Mario Maker kick right now.
Oh, that's great, man. I mean, I love Nintendo myself.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, these Mario
oh,
Maker levels, they're almost nihilistic with like how nasty they can get, these people make. And but even then, like that's kind of come to a little bit of a close because they have this thing in Mario Maker 2. I think it was in Mario Maker 1 as well. It's called Endless Challenge, where you can set a difficulty of the 4 difficulties. I chose normal because it's a weird mix of like super easy stuff and this like really crazy shit. And you keep playing. You start with a set amount of lives, and you keep playing. You can earn extra lives throughout the game, and you see how far you get, how many levels you can clear. And I
yeah.
got into my furthest. I was like 160 something, and then I lost all my lives on a cheap level, mind you. One of those ones where it's like you start the level and like a giant stone thwomp comes and just kills you
Right.
instantly because you don't know you have to like
You
move
have to know
immediately.
what you have to do for everything.
Yeah, it's like that. Those are the things that kind of annoy me with Mario Maker stuff. Is like there's levels where it's like, okay, this is fun, this is clever. You can kind of figure out as you go. And there's other ones where it's like, no, you just have to die. You just have to throw bodies
Yeah.
at the level until you figure out where not to step.
Yeah. That's definitely a
This is
style of gameplay.
yeah, we've gotten off topic, but like that like totally like deflated me when I'm like, all right, I spent all this time on this. Like, so I think I need to set this down for a while. But like having the ability to go and be familiar with the way something plays, though,
Yeah.
such a huge in for someone like myself.
And I'm not like a huge D&D guy. Like I obviously love the worlds of D&D, and I have
Hmm.
those books, but I'm not like a DM. I think I would be pretty good. It's just a lot to do, a lot to learn, and a lot of
Hmm.
mathing and stuff that I'm not as
Yeah.
excited about. But like I have been in the care of like a really good DM before, and that is just like a magical experience where the person just like you don't need to know how to anything technical. You just need to have the imagination, and I found that to be super cool, super rewarding, like limitless possibilities kind of thing that that style of RPG um, presents. So like if the good DM is managing you, like in my
Hmm.
mind, these hell lords, it's like you get this opportunity to like talk to the thing, do whatever you want to
Yeah.
do, push it. Of course, you're going to try to kill it. It'll try
Yep.
to attack you. How can we do those in like weird ways that are funny? Like actually, and it might not be the best entry point for a new D&D player
Hmm.
because it is kind of like that I think we're kind of designing it like that Mario thing in a way. We're
Right.
trying to make these are all bosses. Like these are all
Okay.
very difficult, absurdly difficult bosses. I think that it's beatable. They're beatable, but they are meant to be challenged. And the module that we were sort of discussing putting in there would sort of be like this thing where it's like you try to get through this roguelike experience where it's always a different creature that you're encountering. And
Hmm.
once you die, you start back in the lobby and you can like go back out again. But every time you come back, you've got more gold or you've got more whatever. So you
You've
can
leveled
start
up in
buffing
some
up
way.
you can level up. So eventually you can take these things down, but you have to be very high
Hmm.
level to do that. So it is kind of ties back into that Mario Maker nonsense.
Yeah. It's and I'm very much a person who like I have to learn by doing. Like I can't like to sit here, like you mentioned, like when you did the NOSK album, like you're kind of learning how to do this
Yeah.
as you're doing it. That's very much how I operate. Like I have to do the thing to learn how to do it. Like my first comic, I like whenever I would sit down and try to draw this, like, test pages or, practice pages or whatever, my brain was not activating for it. I might as well have been pulling teeth. But once, like, oh, I have a story I'm going to tell and draw it, even if I can, I'm not great or whatever, but like the act of like just creating a thing and doing it and having to fail like that was much more of a drive for me. And it's the same thing with, to a lesser extent, music, because I'm less harsh on myself about the music aspect of things. But like, so something like this, where it's like, it's, they're going to be difficult. Like it's almost more enticing to me, because I'm like, I know this is going to be like a bloodbath and terrible, but it could be fun.
I think that's the thing. It's like, you're going to die, have fun.
Yeah. Which is, also kind of like, I feel like I would probably like those Dark Souls games.
Yeah, or
considering
Hollow
like
Knight.
how tough. Yeah, I have not. Since we've talked, I think I've installed Steam on my computer, and I think we got a regular Nintendo Switch, and I'm pretty sure that they're available. It's available on both of those, so maybe I should try it out.
Switch. I played
Especially
it on
since the sequel's
Switch.
out. It's probably cheap now. So
it was always Hollow Knight's like $15. It's been $15 forever.
Okay.
It's crazy because I put in probably 70 plus hours and I didn't get everything in that game by a long stretch. So it's a high value, but it's like it's a 2D platformer. So like, because you like Mario and difficult Mario levels, I mean Hollow Knight, but it's like a Souls-like as well. So it's similar to Dark Souls in that you do die and you get sent back to your last spawn point and you've lost all the stuff you've got. So you got to go get it again. Very difficult bosses, pixel perfect, like, battle. So like you really have to hit the character in order with the little tip of your sword in order to do damage. If they touch you at all, you get hit. It's unforgiving. A lot of people are getting the new one, Silk Song, and are having not played Hollow Knight, and they are like, this is way too hard, way too hard. It's challenging, and I've only played a little of Silk Song, and it's pretty, like, it was, I really put it down because I was like, I can't do this right now. I can't get invested. I'm busy with everything else. But I fought the first boss, and I was like, oh, I'm back in it. It is. I can imagine the first boss. That's like the first 10 minutes of the game to get out of that and into the rest of the world. It's probably way too hard for most regular people to beat. So, kind of like Dark Souls.
It's nice. You know what? I'll add that next, because right now, aside from Mario, I've been playing this game called Guns of Fury.
Yeah.
Which is like a side-scrolling Metroidvania, like 80s action movie.
Oh yeah.
Type of game.
That's cool.
It's really fun. It's really fun, but I'm only like halfway through it. So I need to get back onto it, because I was playing it pretty hardcore around just under a month ago, because I picked it up for my birthday, and then I got back into like a Mario kick. But yeah, now I'm gonna get back onto that, because I'm disappointed about losing my run. As meager as it was. I know there's people who are like insane. Like if you ever go on YouTube, there's these Mario streamers that are like, they do this insane shit. Like there's these crazy ass insane levels with pixel perfect jumps and falling through spikes and things. Yeah. And they do it like first go, because they're used to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Me, I'm just like, I like playing, sometimes a little bit hard.
Yeah.
My kids kind of mock me. They're like, Dad, you're not good at shell jumps, are you? Where you got to like kick the shell, throw the shell, and then jump off of it after it bounces off a wall in midair or something. Like, you're not good at that. I'm like, I know, it's fine. I don't want to be good at them.
You're better than my dad was at Mario.
Dude, I just liken it to like when I was a little kid playing Nintendo for the first time, getting super stressed playing Mario for the first time, and that the Goomba's coming at you. I'm like, what do I do? I jump on them?
Yeah. It was, you had to jump right, otherwise you blew it. Yeah. I get it.
And then, and now I'm looking forward to playing games that'll probably like take years off of my life with stress. But
We're getting to that point where you don't want to lose any more lives, though.
Yeah.
Or many more years off your life. Your life is a video game.
But no, yeah, I definitely check out. And yeah, I don't know if you're a fan of like those Metroidvania type games. It's like the run and guns, kind of like Metal Slug type
I love Metal
stuff.
Slug. Me, I tell you downstairs I
Mm.
have I have a Neo Geo cabinet,
Oh wow.
and I need to get rid of it. But it's not that I also when I was younger I bought a Neo Geo Mini, like those little half cabs from Japan.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It had like Metal Slug X and all these things.
Okay.
Yeah, I love all that stuff for sure.
Yeah.
And
It's
Metroid,
very. It's
yeah.
I haven't played too much of it. Of Metal Slug. I know I've played it a bit. I never had direct access to Neo Geo for a while when I was younger, but
Oh
a
no,
cousin had it for a while and we played it, and then I've played it since, like on some of the little retro handhelds that have come out. Um,
oh, yeah,
and yeah, it's very much in that style. Art style is kind of similar too. Body, big head.
yeah, yeah. I was looking at
But
it.
just like lots of shooting. You can upgrade guns. You collect money. You can go to little shops, buy more weapons and stuff.
Yeah,
Upgrade things for like double jumps and stuff. It's really fun. It's definitely got some bosses where it's like, okay, you have to die a few times, but there's plenty of save points. It's not too hard. It's very like, okay, there's a little challenge here and there, but not so much where you're discouraged from picking it back up again. You
that's
know.
cool. That's nice. It's nice to play a
Yeah.
game that isn't punishing. I mean, like I played that Kirby game a couple years ago.
Mhm.
Dream World. I don't know what it was called. If it was the last Kirby game on the Nintendo Switch, so good, such a wonderful game, and like for the like you could set it to. There was a version that's great for kids to play where it's just like whatever you do, you can't die,
Yeah.
and it's so much fun. It's nice to
Yeah.
like play a game like that. It's just
We
about an
got this one.
experience.
There's a Kirby game we have. It's a Dream Buffet.
Oh, that
It's
sounds
called. That's more of a kids. It's more of one of the party games where you're like racing against other
yeah,
Kirby's and
yeah,
stuff, like doing stuff. But the kids love that one. It's very cute. But also like the Shredder's Revenge, the
Oh, I
Ninja
played
Turtles
that.
game.
Yeah, great.
I've played through that twice. It's nice because I can, I have a 9-year-old and a now 6-year-old, uh, and they can join in and we can all play together.
Sure,
And it's not a crazy game, but I've started. I've did it twice myself, and then I have a game file with like on the most extreme difficulty of it or whatever, and that's tough in some of the sections. But it's getting there. But I'm really looking forward to, like, they have that company's doing a Marvel game
oh wow, cool. Well,
in
I'm
that
in.
style, and that'll be a lot of fun. And so maybe Dark Souls is not the game for me if I keep talking about these fun lower pressure games that aren't too hard.
Or Elder Scroll,
Elder Scrolls, yeah,
which I bought and I played for a
yeah,
little while, and just like the Silk Song thing, I was like, oh, I can't do this right now. I know
mhm,
what I'll have to do, invest a
yeah.
lot of myself in this and time and get good. Although I guess Elder Scrolls has more, or sorry, Elden Ring,
Elden Ring, oh yeah, yeah,
Elden
yeah.
Ring has less. You can focus on buffing up versus going immediately into boss battles and stuff. So,
Mhm.
but Dark Souls, yeah, fuck that. I don't got time for this. It's too hard. I have to get good. I
Yeah,
did it once with Hollow Knight. I got good at it. It took a lot out of me, and I made a record. What else do you need?
yeah. I mean, yeah, you got what you needed out of it.
I did. I did. I love it.
Yeah,
Special thing.
that's awesome. All right. Well, Chuck, I won't take up any much more of your time. I appreciate you coming back on. Next time, it will definitely not be 4 years before you're back again.
Okay, good.
We'll definitely have to check in sooner rather than later, for sure. And once Hell Lords and Cell Swords is out, I'll make sure to help promo the heck out of it, because
Yay.
that's one of the fun things about that's still fun about the comics community, is like when you see a cool project, like it really costs you nothing to share it and try to get people who might not have seen it. And whenever I've done that and I've seen someone respond to it like, "Oh man, this is so awesome! I love this," it's almost better than when someone picks up your own book and tells you they love it. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, So happy to help in any way, shape, or form I can with that. And yeah, so now's the time. Let everyone know where they can find you on social media. I'll make sure there's links to all that in the show notes below.
Well, I'm. Thank you so much, Don. This was a wonderful
Mhm.
time. I really appreciate it, and you have a great positive attitude that I appreciate as well. It's supportive, man.
I try.
Um, Beautiful hair and a wonderful collection of guitars. No, thank you very much. Yeah, you know what? You can find me on Instagram, Chuck BB _art, but I'm sure you can find me Chuck BB. You'll find me somewhere on Instagram.
Honestly, you can just Google Chuck BB and all your stuff pops up immediately.
Good, good.
So,
I wish I had some
you know,
control over that. But yeah, and I have a chuckbb.com, and it's confusing, I think. I think my website's a little confusing. I'm trying to do too many things, but
I don't think so. I think
okay.
I think it looks great actually. I see your website. I'm like, I need to do mine good at the very least.
I don't know. I miss
This
the
looks
old
great.
days.
Like it's very smooth. It's very direct. Yeah, I mean, you have very clear indications of where everything is. I mean, that's the least you can ask for these days. Like I'm tired of like full on desktop websites having like I have to dig to find anything regarding anything else. It's just like no, you have right there in the top banner all the links. You know, I'm just gonna link your website. Go to his website. All the links are already there.
You got the links.
check out Hell Lords and Cell Swords and all the other cool stuff you do because you know black metal is still one of my favorite graphic novels of all time, and you know, and just the sheer amount of other work you've done. You know, not even to mention the Stone Cold Lazy strips, which are hilarious, that are in Decibel magazine that you post from time to time. It's you know, I don't know what it is about like metal and comedy strips, but like it feels like they're like born for each other because between that and like Beelzebubs and and other
Yeah,
stuff like that,
yeah.
it just feels like just like perfect setups for things. So
It's yeah. I just feel like you can't. There's something that is silly about it all. Like there's some not in a bad, like in a play way, like in a childish kind of play way. You know?
I think for most metal people, like we're serious about what it means to us, but we're not serious so serious we can't like chuckle at it
No,
at some of the stuff, you know?
and there are some people that are like that though, right? In metal,
Yeah,
for
there
sure.
always is.
But
Yes.
that's hilarious. Also, that they're so about like dressing up like a clown, you know, or whatever. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
that's kind of inherent. Those types of people, self-serious people, you know, like
Hmm.
are already kind of hilarious in their own way. You know,
Yeah. It's yeah, you know, maybe it's just my life experiences. I find it very hard to take myself seriously. So it's like whenever something, you know, will pop up and I'm like, that's me. I'm like, ah, damn it, got me. You know?
sure. Well, it's
And
good.
you know,
It's a good
yeah.
trait. But I take you seriously, Don. I take you
Well,
real serious.
that's one. And I'll take that. And I'll seriously, Chuck, thank you so much for coming on. And then everyone go check out Chuck's website, follow him on social medias, go support his work. It is awesome stuff, and listen to the music. And yeah, thanks again.
Thanks, Don. You rule. Yeah.